What we're going to do now is something completely different. I've been doing this for a long time. I like to play a song that shows you the difference between the Merle Travis style, the Chet Atkins style, and the Jerry Reed style, because they're really the foundation of my musical essence, you know, everything that I learned as a child. And they are fundamentally a little bit different. And if you learn the little nuances of each one of them, it'll broaden your ability not only to play but to arrange music. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a song. I'm going to play it through the first time like Merle Travis, the second time like Chet, and the third time like Jerry Reed. Now, bear in mind, I have tuned my guitar back up to standard tuning, so I brought my E back up, so you need to do that. And before I get into the song, I want to just make a couple of points. You know, the whole legacy of fingerstyle guitar sort of started way back when, nobody really knows when. But a lot of the black players down on the Delta, you know, they were poor people that didn't have a lot of money, they didn't have picks, and they would take their thumb and just strike it on the bottom strings. And get a rhythm going, and then they would pinch the strings to whatever was there, and they made up a melody. You have to wiggle to play the blues. And I'm not a blue kind of guy. I don't actually play much blues, but I enjoy the wiggle. But anyway, that sort of filtered down into the Central City, Kentucky area, where guys like Ike Everly and Mose Rager got a hold of it. Now, what those guys were doing was they were changing the beat to more of a country sort of thing. Okay? And Merle Travis, who was the first guy really to perfect that, took his thumb and he would strike two strings in kind of a brushing motion, like that. And then he would play a melody with one finger. Well, then years later, here comes this guy, Chet Atkins, who learned by listening to Merle Travis on the radio. Now, Chet told me that they didn't tell him on the radio that Merle was using just one finger and a thumb pick. So Chet was playing with two fingers and the thumb pick. And he didn't play with the brush stroke. Now, Chet was just a little bit more articulate. He did a rotation with the thumb, like this. And he wouldn't brush the high notes to get to, he would literally play them with the two fingers. Okay? Now, I asked Chet, now that you know Merle Travis, you know, why don't you play more like him? You know, I mean, you spent all that time learning how to play. How come you don't play more like Merle? And he said, well, because I can. Which I always thought was a cool line. How do you argue with Chet? But not too much later, about 10 years later, 15 years later, this guy Jerry Reed came along. Now, what Jerry would do with his thumb, only Jerry knew. He would do crazy things, and he broke all of the rules. He came up with crazy drum-like rhythms and beautiful piano chords with his left hand. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and demonstrate this to you by playing one song all the way through, once again. It's called All I Need Is You, Babe. And let's jump right into it, see what it sounds like. Here comes little Jerry Reed. Those are my heroes.